There I sat on the Parkway East, almost in the verge of tears. The windshield on my new Jeep had been blown out by a 20-pound turkey. My flight to Chicago was in jeopardy. All I wanted to do was just give up and go home. But it seemed that wasn't one of the options. Well, it was, but it would have cost me a small fortune for them to tow my Jeep back to Clearing. And besides, the tow truck driver came up with a plan. He'd take me to the airport, drop me off for my flight, and then take my Jeep back to the dealership where they could fix it by the time I got back. We were met at the entryway to the airport by the county sheriff. He helped me get my bag out of the Jeep, dusted the glass and feathers off of it, held the door, said, "It looks like you got yourself a turkey this morning." And I said, "Yeah." He said, "It's a shame. It happens far too often." I got to the ticket agent and she looked at me and she said, "Are you okay, sir?" I explained what had happened. She said, "Really, are you okay? Can I get you some help?" I said, "No, I'll be fine." She looked at my ticketing and said, "You've got an incredibly long wait here in the airport for your flight." I said, "Yes, I rebooked while I was waiting for AAA. I wanted to get the latest flight because I wasn't sure how long it would take me." She said, "That's not acceptable. We got to fix that, especially after what you've been through." And with a few clicks, I was suddenly on the very next flight out. I no sooner got to the gate than my phone went off. It was my good friend and colleague, Tim Knaus. He said to me, "Gee, I didn't expect you to actually be here." I explained, "Well, things happen to change plans." He said, "You want to do lunch while you're here?" I said, "Sure." We happened to be on the same flight out, so it worked well. He listened to my story and made sure I was really okay. And then we were joined by Melissa, another colleague in ministry, and she too was flying out on our flight, and we enjoyed a lunch and much care. I got to Chicago and found that the story of my escapade had preceded me somehow, because people began to come up and ask how I was doing and if I was okay. And that continued throughout the 4 days of the conference. Perhaps it was my constant picking feathers out of my sport coat or dusting glass out of my hair. Whatever, they took very good care of me that trip. Don't tell me there aren't angels among us, because I have seen them, not only in that experience, but throughout my life. God will provide what we need, particularly in desperate and critical times. Elijah's ministry, the prophet Elijah, had a tough go of it. And there were many opportunities where he simply wanted to just give up. "Oh Lord, just let me die." But such was not the option. God provided, sometimes in the most unorthodox ways, but God provided enough to sustain him to the next stage of his journey. A raven with roadkill, a widow and her son sharing their last meal, an angel with bread and water. Not much, but enough. We live continually in critical times, and these days it looks like it's going to get a little more chaotic in the days ahead as new variants of COVID begin to creep into our area. What will that do to us? We who are already worn and frazzled. Will we just give up? Or how will God provide? we have some fairly certain ways where God shows up: a splash of water, a piece of bread, a sip of wine, a word of comfort spoken, a body gathered. But God also shows up in those ordinary, unexpected times: a neighborly visit, a card, a note, a post, a phone call, a stranger on the street, someone paying it forward at McDonald's. You never know where those angels will show up. It's one of the reasons that when I do the My Story part of front porching with people in congregations, I have them go back over their lifeline that they have graphed, that story of their life, the highs and the lows. And I ask them then to look and try to remember where they experienced the presence of God in the midst of those times. What did that look like? And it's amazing sometimes to listen to the stories as people remember things that they may not even have noticed at the time, but now looking back in retrospect, see, wow, there was God. There was an angel in the midst. There's a marvelous line in the book of Hebrews that talks about why we practice hospitality, particularly to the unexpected and the stranger. It goes like this: always practice hospitality, because you never know when you just might be entertaining angels. You never know. You who dwell in the shelter of the Lord, who abide in his shadow for life, say to my Lord, my refuge, my rock in whom I trust, and I will raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, make you to shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of his hand. You need not fear the terror of the night, nor the arrow that flies by day. Though thousands fall about you, near you it shall not come. And I will raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, make you to shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of his hand. For to the angels God's given a command to guard you in all of your ways. Upon their hands they will bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. And I will raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, make you to shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of his hand, and hold you in the palm of his hand.